Chapter 2 Human Meets Yoga. As I launched off his shoulder and into freedom, I heard Corey shout after me. "Wait, come back. Give me just 5 more minutes of your time." I've always understood yoga to be an exercise. If you leave me now, my mind will have a meltdown from trying to understand how an exercise can remove the power of my conditioned mind and plug me into the universe. I mean, really, if an exercise can do that, why not just play football to reach enlightenment? I laughed out loud at the absurdity that had erupted from his mouth. Yoga, an exercise. How did humans manage to take everything mystical and transform it into something so base, so monetary? So I flew back, landed a little closer to him, and looked into his crystal blue eyes that lay on his luminous white skin. Where do we start? Well, let me first tell you this. The story I'm going to tell you will be the story of yoga. It is the oldest and most ancient discipline in the world. It seeks to remove the power and influence of the conditioned mind and all the layers that make up your human form. So in the silence, you may connect to your pure consciousness, the Atman. It is a story which asks that you do not see the awareness it raises about your thoughts, actions, and behaviors as judgments, criticisms, or negativities, but to be open-minded so that you may begin to understand you and the world you live in. Please know, human, that all of us in nature loves every single one of you in your species, because we see the light and goodness in all of you. Never forget that as we move through this story, that yoga seeks to show you what all of us in nature see in you, absolute love and goodness. Across all the religions and disciplines in the world, there's a consensus that there is a soul, which in some religions is referred to as spirit. There exists also a greater being referred to by some as God, by others as universe, Brahman, Allah, and so forth. Here, we refer to the all-encompassing entity as universal consciousness, Purusha. In some religions, there is also an intermediary between the two. For the purpose of our conversation, Atman is the individual consciousness, and will henceforth be referred to as the soul or spirit. Know that each soul has its own essence. It carries all the data of your incarnations before you entered the human form and all the accumulated data it will accrue on this journey forward after you are in this form. You are in fact immortal, Corey. You humans are made up of several complex parts. First, there is a soul, pure consciousness. Then there is the animal brain, which seeks to ensure your survival, and I mean literal survival here. Not I need an iPhone and big car survival. Above that sits your emotional and thinking brains that are constantly seeking to satisfy themselves. Then there is your body and all the layers that influence it. The mind-body complex are part of matter that make up your entire human form. A form, remember, that holds all 5 elements, each influenced by the 3 gunas, forces tied to it. A form that is impermanent, constantly shifting and changing as it strives to find balance, but rarely succeeding because of the lives you have embroiled yourselves in and your attachment to your human form. In removing your entanglement with and attachment to your natural form, you can learn to live above the impermanence of nature, your nature, to find peace and joy amidst chaos, but also to live your true purpose, to connect to the infinite possibilities that exist for you and to make the impossible possible. When a city is abandoned, notice how nature by its own means envelops it. It is the same with humans. If you don't learn to live above your nature, it will envelop you and take you on an emotional roller coaster ride, constantly moving you between action, tranquility, and destruction. Yoga, therefore, is the journey to learn how to enjoy life and experience it, but not to attach to it. For it is the human attachment to an impermanent nature that is the root of all of your sufferings. But don't look so confused. Remember that when you see the whole puzzle with the knowledge of all its parts, clarity shall arrive. Yes, Corey the human let out a large sigh and pondered on what I had told him so far. I most definitely will be needing more information, especially about the layers of the mind. Because I can tell you there have been so many instances when this mind has led me and so many others to suffering, heartache, fear, joy, and love all in 1 week and sometimes even in 1 day. For some of us, it has given rise to the desire to just check out of life and dive into death. We have time, Corey. But you must be patient and listen to the whole story with an open mind and without wearing the various colored glasses of white, man, father, son, brother, culture, work, and all the multitude of filters through which you see the world. If you do, then I promise you that at the end of this story you will experience magic. But please know, Corey, that the story told here will also be told from other languages as Western and Chinese medicine so that you may know that the story I tell you is a truth. I'd say sitting here with you, the most beautiful eagle I've laid my eyes on, I am already experiencing magic. But what exactly do you mean by my colored glasses? Ah, yes, perspective, and its power to arrive at self-awareness. That is for another conversation. But for now, let's talk yoga. Yoga, my friend, is not an exercise. It is a way of life, a pathway to regaining your connection to everything. I say this because, of course, you humans, like us, are born with all the knowledge you need. That you are not alone, that you are loved and deeply connected to the universe. That you have superhero powers of telepathy, teleportation, etc. But unlike us, as you grow from birth, your subconscious is fed a vast array of half-truths, illusions from society, media, family, friends, partners, etc. As this happens, your ignorance expands and slowly pollutes the ocean that is your mind, such that the innate knowledge that sits in your soul is buried. It is this lack of knowledge about your true self that is the source of all your pain. The study of yoga is therefore the gaining of all the knowledge to know how to erase all your learned ignorance, to understand how to quieten, purify, and control the conditioned mind so you are able to see the reflection of your soul in it. I could see the light growing in his eyes not only at the thought of living a life of peace and harmony with everything, and engaging in violence only for literal survival, but also at the thought of being able to maybe, just maybe, grow a relationship between us, which wind had started and only magic could sustain. So what happened next? Asked the line of ants that had appeared from nowhere and taken up a whole limb. I hope you don't mind, but wind has been spreading the word that you are telling the story of yoga. Not at all, I replied. It is a fascinating story and one I hope that you will spread to all humans that infringe on your life every single day. That is, if you are unlucky enough to have them in your space. Move along, eagle, yawned leopard. You know I must get 13 hours of sleep before it's time for me to go back and seek my meal. Yes, my friend. I know that I am stretching the boundaries of your waking hours, so I will finish what I left the human with. There are several limbs that make up the body of yoga, all of which I will in time describe to you in detail, from the cosmic all the way down to your cells. These limbs and the trunk that make up yoga were codified by Patanjali, the master coder of his time, into the Yoga Sutras. This information was passed down to the 7 rishis or sages as they sat on the bank of Lake Kantisavar in the Himalayas by Adiyogi, Guru over 5,000 years ago. It is a discipline that is believed to have risen from the universe long before the first religions or belief systems. These 7 sages then traveled across the planet, which is why there are yoga principles in every religion and ancient culture around the globe. But it is in India that the yogic system expressed itself the loudest. Corey, I know you are a religious man, so let me get this out of the way now. The greatest divide you humans have created among yourselves has been around religion. Hinduism is steeped in yoga, but yoga is not Hinduism. It is a discipline that anyone from any category can practice. You can be a part of any religion, caste, race, nationality, gender, etc., and still follow the journey of yoga. Because its main goal is to reconnect you with your true self and then to the universal consciousness. All yoga asks is for you to take up the tools it offers, practice them, and witness their truth for yourself. Yoga has no quarrel with religion or any other discipline in the world today, as they are all paths to the same destination. Each religion, each discipline should be viewed as exactly that, a path to destination enlightenment. The journey is a personal one, so it does not matter what path your partners, friends, or co-workers are on. If they're on a path to self-knowledge, that should be enough. But what ties all of us to each other, Corey, is the consciousness and love that lives in all of us. Don't let anyone tell you that you humans are evil. At your core, when you move past all the layers that define the human form, you are all good. You have just forgotten it. Yoga requires no temple, no altar, no costume, nor a surrender to anyone or anything else. Yoga asks only that you surrender to the universal consciousness that is connected to you via your soul. It asks that you learn to love you, a self-love that is different from a selfish love. Through self-love that grows is a desire to love all living beings and give selflessly. You, Corey, and no one else are the source of your happiness, of peace and calmness, and the definer of your reality. At its simplest level, there are 8 limbs that make up the tree of yoga. The first limbs are yamas and niyamas, the ethical guidelines on how to interact and behave with others, and the world you find yourselves inhabitants of. By following these, you move through your life with joy and calmness as they serve to purify your mind, and it is only in a pure and clean mind that you can see the reflection of your soul. Then there are the asanas or poses, the physical practice of yoga. Asanas connect you with your body and begin the process of unraveling blocked energy channels within you. They also strengthen and stretch your body so it is no longer acting as an impediment to sitting in meditation. After that, there's breathing, that thing so many of you humans take for granted and don't even do properly, either because your body is so hunched up that it blocks your diaphragm from expanding and using the full capacity of your lungs, or because you are just too lazy to exercise the lung muscle. Which is shocking when you think that without breath your form would die. But I digress. The limb of breathing is more than just about influencing your breath. It is about unblocking and moving your energy as well as calming your gunas to bring you back into homeostasis. I turned to the growing clan and sighed in expiration. I really don't get it. How is it that humans spend hours on their hair, their body, their looks, phones, TV, work, and barely minutes on their breath, the thing that keeps their body alive? To this, the whole posse that had gathered burst out into laughter and nodded in agreement. I know, Leopard. I'm nearly at the end of today's story time. Where was I? Yes, of course, breathing. I continued to tell him the following. For you humans, Corey, there are numerous breathing techniques to move, shift, and unblock trapped energy within your bodies. Each pranayama, as it is known in yoga, not only ignites and widens the energetic magnetic field that exists around each of you, but also serves to lift your electrical brain waves to gamma, the highest frequency where that connection to the information in the infinite space is made possible. The next limb is the process of withdrawing from your senses so you can engage in awareness as a means of observing all the conditionings of the mind that form the basis of me, your personality. This process leads ultimately to you connecting to your true self, henceforth known as your I, your soul. By learning to concentrate deeply on one thing, as opposed to superficially on several things, you can move into meditation with ease. Then there is meditation. the connector to the infinite space so that you may finally merge and become one with the universe, as opposed to living in the belief that you are separate from it. To summarize, let me simplify all 8 limbs for you. There are yamas, restraints and abstinence, niyamas, observances and training, asanas, gaining mastery over meditative postures, pranayama, the control over energy through the regulation and expansion of breath, pratyahara, the withdrawal from satisfying your desires and senses externally by turning the senses inwards, dharana, concentration on the mind on one thing, dhyana, meditation through effortless concentration, and lastly, samadhi, contemplation and then absorption into the object of meditation, so that the observer and the observed unite into a superconscious state. I then ended with this just to plant a seed of thought into his subconscious. Did you know, Corey, that when you humans clear-cut rainforests, destroy habitats, and kill animals, you are in fact killing yourselves, literally? Because you are a part of the whole ecosystem. You too are nature. Thought of another way, the energetic earth is one body with 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and well, you get the drift. And you, the humans, are one of the legs, ocean another, forest an arm, and so forth. When you cut down a part of nature, which you see yourself as separate from, you are cutting off parts of a body of which you are a part. Basically, you are cutting your own arms off. And if we go a step further, Earth itself is part of a large cosmic body also comprised of several body parts in the form of planets, stars, black holes, etc. When you destroy nature, it destroys the Earth, which is then cutting off a body part of the planetary system. Are you beginning to see just how your one human species is bringing the entire universe into imbalance? Yet, when you wake up, your largest problem is how much money you have, how your hair looks, what is trending on social media, and what others are thinking of you. So tell me, Corey, are all you humans just plain old insane crazy or just deeply unaware? I could see smoke coming out of his head and his mind moving and shifting. Somewhere in the recess of his conditioned mind, I saw a tiny light appear. Of course, I wanted to fly to the moon and back in excitement, but I contained myself. I knew that for that light to grow, for the connection to be made, and for suffering to no longer have power, it was a long journey and hard work. It was one thing for me to give him the tools, it was another for him to pick them up and begin to use them. Understanding there was no app, 31-day program, 1-week retreat, or Fitbit watch that would get him to destination enlightenment. Only doing the work every day would get him there. As I finished my eagle monologue, Corey placed his hand on my wing and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for crawling into my mind and burying yourself in my soul. I want what you have, the unwavering belief in the connection to everything. My journey as a human has been hard, filled with pain, fear, suffering, and acts of love that feel nothing like what love should feel like. I know you must go now, but tell me, when can we meet again? I would like to begin this magical journey of yoga about which you speak so passionately." I shivered, I did, from the feel of him on my wings, but if I could have kissed him with my beak without eating his mouth, I would have, but instead I turned to him and spoke. Only when the moon is full or new do all the elements conspire to allow nature of which you are part to communicate with humans. If you follow the cliff to where forest meets ocean, you will find an enormous baobab tree. Meet me there next new moon, and it is there that we will continue this story." "You what? You told him to come here, to this sacred place? Have you lost your beak?" stuttered Snake, who had dropped in from the highest of Baobab's limbs. "Hold on there, Snake," bellowed Baobab. "You forget. He is one of us, and the sooner he knows that, the better. Before the humans take their machines and kill us all off and themselves in the process. Is it not more advisable that he learns and understands the connection through us who live in that connection every moment of our lives?" "True be that. I'm sorry. I get a little slithery around humans. They always look at me as if I were some evil being sent to cause them harm, even though I have no interest in them at all. Man, that box of theirs, the one they stare at for hours on end, the brainwash box that puts crazy illusionary ideas in their heads. For a moment, we all sat, hung, swung, and flowed in silence, thinking of that black screen that spewed out lies, gossip, and half-truths. The box that seemed to mesmerize the human and then guide, influence, and divine their behaviors, all without them knowing what it was doing. Little did they know the workings of their own brain and mind, and how everything they listened to and watched was recorded in their hippocampus hard drive, their subconscious. What did he say? Is he going to come? Fluttered Butterfly back and forth. He is, I smiled. And get this, he hugged me before he left, and I rubbed my wings all over him, trying to leave as much of my scent on him before he walked away. I giggled, remembering the twinkle in his eyes as I did that. Then I gently lay my wing upon his heart and said the following: May you be well until we meet again. May you know that you are not your mind, your thoughts, or your emotions. May every word, action, and behavior that rises from you between now and when we meet again rise from a place of love and never from a place of fear. And may you wake up every day grateful for the opportunity to experience this magnificent universe in a human form. Fabulous, smiled Baobab. Now kindly remove yourselves from my 3,000-year-old limbs and go off on your merry way. We shall meet at the new moon and see if the human truly seeks change. If he does, he will return. With that, we all leapt, flew, and jumped off Baobab. We wished each other well on our journeys and promised to meet again at the next new moon.